Imagine a future where clean energy isn't just a promise, but, a solid reality for everyone. What if one vision could actually transform an industry, really shake up how we invest in solar power?
Hmm.
Well, today we're diving deep into exactly that kind of story. It's about Pavesh Bhattarai, his journey, and his latest venture, Bhaskara. We'll explore how it's set to really change the game for solar energy.
That's right. And our mission here, think of it like this. We're unpacking the real persistent problems holding back solar. Why isn't it everywhere already?
Right?
And we'll look at how Bhaskara BluPrint offers this ground truth solution. We're presenting it almost as if you were a global investor.
Okay.
We want you to see the huge need, the demand, the promise, and honestly, the massive benefits of getting this energy transition right.
And we've got a lot to draw on personal stories that really shape things, deep market analysis. The goal is a full picture, but, without drowning you in data. Okay, so let's unpack this. Where does this story even begin? Well, like a lot of these entrepreneurial tales, it starts with a young guy spotting a problem. Think back to the early 2000s in India. Cell phones were taking off.
Right, everywhere.
Bhavesh Bhatti, even then, just had this knack for seeing what wasn't working, the big issue. Running out of phone balance. Suddenly, you couldn't make a call, not even an emergency one.
It's such a relatable problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
And his idea was, well, pretty brilliant in its simplicity. He pitched Vodafone on this microcredit concept.
Tell us about that.
Just a small loan, rupees 10, enough for an emergency call. And then when you topped up your phone next time, they'd automatically deduct rupees 11.
Simple interest built in.
Exactly. It solved a huge pain point for millions, and Vodafone ended up making millions of dollars from it. It showed how addressing a real need, even a small one, could have massive impact.
But here's the twist, and it's kind of a tough one. Vodafone implemented the idea, but Bhavesh didn't receive any compensation. Yeah, a major personal setback. You can imagine how discouraging that would be. But he got some solid advice. Best is to get over this, work out some other brilliant plan, and focus there.
That's resilience right there.
It really is. And interestingly, that disappointment actually pivoted him towards climate action. It kind of focused his energy.
Yeah, that pivot seems crucial. He saw Al Gore's An Inconvenient Truth, and that really solidified his determination. He decided, right, I'm going to tackle climate change, and solar energy is the way.
Which led to founding Body Energy in 2006. It started with things like solar streetlights, but by 2014, it had evolved way beyond that. It became a full-service EPC provider.
So engineering, procurement, and construction, handling the whole project lifecycle.
Exactly, and the growth was impressive. A team of 36 people, and they landed this huge 25-megawatt solar project in Bulgaria.
Wow, 25 megawatts, that's significant.
Worth 14 million.
Yeah.
He was managing big imports too, solar panels worth over €1 million, inverters for 1.25 million. Really building those high-level industry connections.
But even with that success, he kept seeing these inefficiencies, problems baked into the solar sector itself, fragmented management, messy financials, good projects dying early because of poor design.
Things holding back the very change you wanted to see.
Precisely. Bottlenecks slowing down decarbonization. And that sparked the idea for his next venture, Norinco OE, which he bootstrapped in Estonia starting around 2017.
But then, the world changed. COVID-19 hit.
Yeah, the pandemic was devastating for so many businesses.
It hit hard. Body Energy had to close its doors in 2021, and Norinco OE followed in 2022. Suddenly, Bhavesh had no income for almost 2 years.
That's a tough place to be for an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But again, resilience. From August 2021, he pivoted, this time into the Web3 space.
Interesting move.
Yeah, he joined Solid World DAO, then Declimate as a community manager, really boosting their engagement, tripled Discord members, doubled engagement metrics. He even founded the MRV Foundation, raising $45,000 through Gitcoin grants.
Shows his adaptability.
Definitely. And most recently, he was advising Carbify.io on carbon offsets.
Right.
But, and this is key, he actually left that role in May 2025.
Why?
To focus entirely 100% on Bhaskara. His passion for solving solar's problems never really went away.
So, despite the detours, the Web3 work, the core mission pulled him back. And maybe new tech like IoT and AI made the original Norinco concept seem even more possible now.
Exactly. It felt like the time was right to relaunch that core idea, but stronger under this new brand, Bhaskara.
Okay, so let's talk about the problem Bhaskara is built to solve. You mentioned inefficiencies earlier.
Right. And what's really striking is that this isn't just an Indian problem or a U.S. problem, it's global. There's this fundamental trust deficit that's just paralyzing the solar sector.
A trust deficit. Let's break that down. For customers, it often means analysis paralysis, right? They're overwhelmed, maybe scared of getting ripped off. We found some specific examples, like a customer in Innor, India, who felt completely cheated, paid a non-refundable booking fee, then got panels that were totally different, inferior quality.
Terrible experience.
Or a homeowner in Kanpur worried because the installers were unskilled, outsourced laborers, potentially cutting corners with cheaper materials. We even heard about a founder blocking a frustrated customer on LinkedIn. It just breeds cynicism.
And you see similar things elsewhere. In the U.S., you hear about dodgy sales tactics, people pretending to be from the utility company, pushing these predatory 25-year leases where costs suddenly double.
Yeah, that erodes trust fast.
Or think about that friend in Germany invests in solar, but the break-even point is 24 years away. That's practically the lifespan of the panels. How can you confidently recommend that?
No wonder legitimate solar installers, the EPCs, are struggling. This lack of trust must hit them hard.
Oh, absolutely. It creates a huge burden. Look at the conversion rates, maybe 3% in India, 3 to 7% in the U.S. That means for every 100 serious inquiries, maybe 97 lead nowhere.
Think of the wasted effort.
Exactly. Huge pre-sales costs. In India, that's maybe rupees 6,000 to 9,000 to a proposal, taking 10, even 18 man-hours to prepare. And if their initial assessment is off because the data is bad,
then you get errors later on.
Right, costly downstream errors. Project rework can eat up 5 to 20% of the contract value. That can wipe out the entire profit margin.
And this uncertainty doesn't stop with the installers, does it? It goes right up to the people funding these projects, the financiers.
Absolutely. It creates significant financiers' risk.
Yeah.
Get this. Around 70% of renewable energy projects in India actually miss their P90 energy generation forecast.
70%. And P90, just to remind everyone, is that benchmark for expected performance, even considering potential downsides, so they're consistently over-promising or under-delivering.
Which means cash flows are often about 5% lower than investors were told to expect. This feeds directly into higher non-performing assets, or NPAs, bad loans, essentially.
And what are the NPA numbers like?
In India, the benchmark range is somewhere between 1.5% and 4.0%. The Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency, IREDA, reported 1.52% specifically linked to these generation-related shortfalls. It's a real quantifiable risk.
So financiers have to protect themselves.
Of course. They undertake expensive due diligence, digging deep into the technicals, which can add costs equivalent to maybe 6% on top of the loan interest rate. It makes clean energy more expensive for everyone.
And a lot of this boils down to inaccurate initial data, right? Those traditional simulations.
Precise. We call them the 4 horsemen of inaccuracy. They're the gremlins in the system.
Okay, let's name them. Horseman number 1.
Meteorological data discrepancies. Standard data sets like NASA Power or Medianorm, they have built-in uncertainty, maybe 2% to 10%. And the geographical resolution is quite coarse.
Like using a blurry map for a detailed journey.
Kinda, yeah. You won't get the hyperlocal specifics you need. Second, catastrophic metadata errors. Simple typos or mistakes when inputting project details, like selecting the wrong mounting type for the panels. That alone can throw off energy estimates by over 20%. Or getting the azimuth or tilt angle wrong, that's another 15% variation potentially. Human error with big consequences.
Okay, number 3.
Microshading. This one's a killer. You shade just a tiny part of the system, maybe 1% or 2% of the panel area.
Seems minor.
You'd think. But it can slash the system's total generation by 30% to 50%. It's disproportionately impactful.
Wow. And the 4th horseman?
Site-specific albedo. That's just ground reflectivity. It matters hugely for bifacial panels, the ones that capture light from both sides.
How much difference can it make?
A lot. If you install over a reflective surface like water, you might get a 12.4% gain in energy compared to, say, grass. If your simulation doesn't account for that accurately, you're leaving energy and money on the table.
And we haven't even mentioned soiling yet, dust and dirt accumulating on panels.
Right. That's another huge variable, especially
sure.
in dry, dusty regions. Losses can reach up to 35%, but simulations often just plug in a simple fixed percentage. It doesn't capture the real-world variability.
So you add all these up, the weather data issues, the input errors, shading, reflectivity, soiling.
It creates this damaging feedback loop, this vicious cycle. Customers don't trust the promises, installers face high costs and low conversions, financiers see underperforming assets and higher risk.
Wow.
And the result, solar adoption slows down.
It paints a clear picture of why something needs to change. A market really held back by these data blind spots and the resulting lack of confidence.
Exactly.
So this is where Bhaskara BluPrint comes in. You described it as a paradigm shift, not just another simulation, but what?
Ground truth validation. That's the key difference. Bhaskara isn't trying to replace simulation tools. It's designed to be a complementary layer that feeds them measured reality from the actual site.
Okay, how does it work? What's the tech?
It starts with the BluPrint device itself. It's a proprietary IoT device, smart, designed to be low cost, and deployed temporarily right there on the potential project site.
So you put it out in the field.
Right, and it uses what we call sensor fusion. It combines data from different sensors measuring actual sunlight intensity, temperature, even how much dust is accumulating to get a really complete hyperlocal picture.
Hyperlocal, meaning specific to that exact spot.
Exactly. That data is then sent securely up to our cloud platform, hosted on AWS in Mumbai. There, our AI engine gets to work.
The secret sauce?
Kind of. This AI takes those real-time hyperlocal measurements and uses them to correct and calibrate the long-term satellite weather datasets for that specific location. It refines the historical data with actual ground truth.
And the result for the user?
The output is what we call a bankable report. It gives you easy-to-understand dashboards, but also a detailed PDF report. Crucially, it includes a bankable viability score. It's designed to give financiers the confidence they need.
Okay, let's talk tangible benefits. The quantified value proposition. For an Indian EPC, what does this mean in practice?
We project significant savings, reducing those pre-sales costs by 60% to 80%. That's saving rupees 6,000 to 9,000 for every proposal they don't waste time on.
That adds up fast.
It does, and we model it doubling their lead-to-close rate from that dismal 3% up to 6%. Plus, cutting the chance of costly project rework by 75%. They can finally offer performance guarantees backed by real data.
Okay, now flip it. What about the Indian financiers?
For them, it cuts the cost of technical appraisal by 25% to 40%, but the big one is de-risking. We model Bhaskara, potentially reducing that MPA ratio, the bad loans from underperformance, by 50% to 70%.
Can you put a number on that?
Sure. For a hypothetical rupees 100 crore loan portfolio, reducing MPAs linked to technical issues could mean an annual credit loss reduction of around rupees 1.25 crore. That's substantial. It makes solar a much safer bet.
Let's jump across the globe. What about U.S. EPCs? Different market, different challenges.
Still significant benefits. We estimate it could reduce our effective customer acquisition cost, or CAC, by over 30%, which translates to about 35 cents per watt saved.
And sales cycles in the U.S. are notoriously long.
Right, often 8 to 9 months. Bhaskara's data-driven approach can build trust faster, potentially shortening that cycle by up to 60 days. That's a 22% increase in sales velocity. And fewer cancellations, too. We model cutting post-contract cancellations by more than half, maybe a 75% reduction for those linked to trust issues, saving another 17 cents per watt.
And you mentioned Africa earlier. That sounds like a unique set of challenges.
It is. Manufacturers there often face crippling energy problems. Unreliable grids, sometimes over 200 hours of downtime a month.
Wow.
Which forces them onto expensive diesel generators. Nigeria alone spends something like $13 billion a year on diesel for generators. And solar often disappoints because of that promise versus reality gap. Massive soiling losses, up to 35–50%, poor weather data.
So Bhaskara offers a way out.
We believe so. It provides the reliable data needed to design systems that actually work in those conditions. For a manufacturer investing, say, $2.2 million in a solar system validated by Bhaskara, the payback could be incredibly fast, around 5.3 months in one scenario we modeled. That generates roughly $5 million in value in the first year, just from reliable, cheaper power. It's about energy independence.
Okay, so it delivers value across different markets, but how does it stack up against existing tools? You mentioned it's not simulation software.
Right. It's crucial to understand the distinction. Bhaskara isn't PDSYST or Aurora Solar. Think of it as the validation layer that makes those simulations trustworthy. It provides ground truth inputs.
And it's not drone surveying either, like Scanifly.
Correct. Drones are great for geometry validation, mapping the roof, identifying obstructions. But they can't measure the energy variables, the actual sunlight, the temperature, the real-time soiling. Bhaskara does the energy validation.
And it's different from those permanent scientific weather stations.
Totally different use case. Things like Kip and Zonin stations are highly accurate, yes, but they're expensive, complex, and designed for long-term, permanent scientific monitoring. Bhaskara is engineered to be low-cost, easy to deploy temporarily for pre-sales assessment and project validation. purpose-built for this specific problem.
Got it. So it fills a very specific critical gap, and you mentioned it scales.
Yes, there's a tier deployment strategy. For a typical home solar system, maybe up to 50 kilowatts, just one BluPrint device is usually enough. For a 1-megawatt commercial project, you might deploy around 30 devices across the site. And for a large 10-megawatt utility-scale farm, maybe 100 devices to capture site variability.
And where are these devices being made?
We're committed to a Make in India strategy for manufacturing. And we've already seen really strong market validation. We have a letter of intent, an LOI, from the Gujarat Federation of Solar Industries for 10,000 devices.
10,000 units, that's significant buy-in.
It's a huge vote of confidence from the industry itself.
And the company structure. You mentioned Estonia earlier, but now?
The global headquarters is now set up in Helsinki, Finland. But the vision is definitely global, with a phased rollout plan for Europe, North America, and the Asia-Pacific region after establishing ourselves in India.
What's the next big hurdle to clear?
A really critical step is achieving formal bankability status. We need independent validation. We've allocated a significant budget, rupees 4 crore, which is about 500,000 euro globally, specifically for top-tier certification firms like DNV or TÜV.
To do what exactly?
To rigorously test and validate our AI correction model and the entire BluPrint system. Getting their stamp of approval is key to unlocking the full confidence of financiers and unlocking the platform's full potential. It's the gateway.
Looking even further ahead, what's next for Bhaskara, the next wave of innovation?
We call them the crown jewels. There are several exciting developments planned. First, automated site-specific design using the BluPrint data to automatically generate optimized solar plant layouts.
Taking the guesswork out.
Exactly. Then a digital twin concept, allowing customers to virtually explore their proposed system and understand its performance. Also, a sophisticated financial modeling and de-risking engine for really precise projections of things like levelized cost of energy, LCOE, and project cash flows.
And you mentioned something about chips.
Yes, the Bhaskara ASIC. That stands for Application-Specific Integrated Circuit. Basically, designing our own custom computer chips optimized to run the AI algorithms directly on the BluPrint device itself. That means faster processing, more efficiency right there in the field.
So bringing it all together.
In essence, Bhaskara BluPrint is fundamentally about injecting measured reality into the solar development process. It's designed to be that crucial missing piece that unlocks confident, efficient investment and accelerates the global energy transition. These future steps aim to build a truly autonomous, self-optimizing solar ecosystem.
So what does all this mean for you listening right now?
Well, it points toward a future where solar energy isn't held back by doubt and uncertainty.
It means faster adoption, driven by transparent, data-backed decisions instead of just optimistic guesses. That leads to more reliable, more cost-effective clean energy for everyone.
And here's maybe a final thought to leave you with. Think about how this shift, moving from good enough simulations to verifiable ground truth, could impact more than just solar.
How so?
Could this approach fundamentally change how we invest in and build trust for any major infrastructure project? Think smart cities, grid modernization, other renewables. Anywhere where accurate data and confidence are paramount. It's a potential blueprint for building the future, based on reality.
Powerful thought indeed. And a great place to wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.